Hello, my friends. My name is Nicole, and I am here to talk about situations, places, times that it's okay to use certain volumes in your voice. Okay, and today we're going to talk about volume on a scale of 0 to 4, and we'll talk about when we should be using each number on that scale. Okay, I'll start at 4 and then we'll work our way down to 0. First, volume 4. Volume 4 is shouting or yelling. Volume 4 in your social life, so with your friends, with your family, it could be used at a concert where the music's really loud. It could be at the video arcade where everyone's playing really loud games. And it could be at a sports game. Let's say you're going to UCF to watch the football game. Everybody's yelling and shouting. A volume 4 is completely okay. Now, when you're thinking about work, a volume 4 would really only be okay if you work someplace very loud and shouting or yelling is necessary or needed in order to communicate. So let's say you work on a construction job site, or you work in a warehouse or at a manufacturing plant, someplace where you've got lots of machines and lots of noise and everything's going on. Maybe you work at the airport. If you work someplace super loud, then you'll probably need volume 4 in order to speak to everyone else. So that's okay. Now let's talk about volume 3. Volume 3 is not yelling or shouting, but it is talking loudly. So when you're at home with your friends, with your family, you might use volume 3 if you're playing a game. You might use volume 3 if you found out something great and you're just really excited to share it. Or you could use volume 3 if you're playing outside or swimming, something like that. That's when volume 3 is all right. When you're working, there aren't too many working situations where you would be using a volume 3, unless your job is someplace kind of loud, but not super loud. Okay, so the next volume level is volume 2. Volume 2 is probably the volume that you would use most of all. If you're at home just having a conversation, volume 2. It's the tone that I'm using right now. If you're on a telephone call, whether you're at home or at work, this is probably the volume that's appropriate. You could be at the store or at the mall. You could be eating at a restaurant. Any of those times in your social life, that's when volume 2 is okay. Volume 2 is also probably the volume you would use at work, just talking to your supervisor, having a conversation with one of your coworkers. You would use volume 2 in most situations. Now the next one is volume 1. Volume 1 is whispering. Okay, now whispering, when you think about it, it's not something you would do for an entire conversation. When you're whispering, it's probably because you're somewhere where you just need to be quiet because people are focused on something else. Maybe they're listening or watching someone or something that they need to concentrate on. So let's say you're at church or temple. You need to say something really quick to the person next to you. That's when you would whisper. Or let's say you're at the library and you need to ask the librarian a question. Because everyone there should be concentrating on their books, we're not really supposed to talk. But if you need to ask the librarian a question, level 1, you whisper. Okay, so that could also be if you're next to someone and they're on a phone call and you don't want to disturb them, volume 1. Or you could be someplace where people are not feeling well or they're just resting. So at the hospital, at a doctor's office, or maybe you're traveling and you're in the corridors of or hallways of the hotel, that's when you would whisper. Okay, now the last one is volume 0. Volume 0 is just silence. It's just being quiet. So when you think about those other places that I just talked about, whether it is in your social life or at work, if you're somewhere where someone else is talking and everyone should be focused on them, you should be at a volume 0 unless you had to say something very, very important and didn't want to disturb them. But other than saying that one quick thing, we should probably be at a volume 0. So if you're at work and you're at a meeting and your boss or one of your coworkers, it's their turn to talk, you should be at a volume 0 until it's your turn. If you're at the movies, other than that really quick thing that you needed to use a volume 1 to communicate, stay at volume 0, no talking. I hope this helped. I really loved making this video for you guys, and I hope I get to make many more. Bye.